achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, Annie.
How are you doing?
I am great today. I'm feeling happy. I never done Mondays events, but actually it feels good. I don't know why people don't like Mondays.
Our last one was on Monday, so we've done a Monday one. I'm sure we have. We have recently. We have. What are the last few? Because,
You have. I haven't done Mondays.
okay. Well, it's the same as any other day. It's the same, it's the same. I have no great dislike for doing Mondays. 'Cause, like I say, it's a day. It's a day. We're here. You're here. So how's life? Of course, your book is coming out on on Thursday. So,
Yay.
yes.
Really super excited. It's unreal. Really feeling that it's finally that time where we're gonna launch the book, and it's been really interesting to learn the process. And I'm gonna share a little bit more about that today, because actually today's topic it really being seen, right? Promoting a book is part of that. So that's why I choose this topic today, because we are in book launch. It's my first book, and now that part of the process, it's here. So using my voice to promote the book is really part of the project of unmuting myself.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited for you. Of course, there's many things that we're doing. So your emails are going.
Yeah, that lot of behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. But
so interesting.
It's time. I'm excited. I'm always excited.
But you are already very used to this process, right?
Yeah, but I guess it's still exciting each time, because I guess you never know what's going to happen. I never know what's going to happen until it happens. Of course, there's my biggest hopes, and I think when I lose that excitement for any book launch, then I might just quit doing events and doing what I'm doing, right? And so I love the reality of what can happen, the excitement. It's of course becoming a bestseller is where my efforts are focused on right now, because that is a promise, I suppose, that I think we owe you for the work you've put in, and for the journey you've been on. And of course, I'm hoping that all our friends who are here, and of course those who are not here also, will buy the book. And then if we play our cards right, our friends buy the book, then I can enjoy Thursday even more. But until we get there, you see, I'm always in a state of anxiety until I see that you have achieved the bestseller award. And that's just how I am. That's how I tend to be. Once I see that you've achieved at least one bestseller, then I can relax. So I'm hoping all our friends here do come and join us on Thursday, and come and buy the book. It is going to be $199, right? $199. $1, not $1.99 in dollars, which is what, £1.25, something like that in UK money. So your
Not a conversion now, but yeah, something like that. Super
That's it.
excited about that, and no, thank you, Annie, really for all the work and helping me to really spread the message and hopefully get to many hands this message. Is my hope, really.
Yeah, exciting times. We'll get there. Of course, we'll get there. But again, today's show, of course, it's part of our journey. So, what are you trying to get across today? What's our topic, and I guess why is it important to you?
Yeah. Are we going to start with the song and then introduce the topic? Just to get it, please.
We certainly can, of course. Look, if you're here, my friends, please drop us a comment. That way we know you're here. We don't know you. We don't know you're here otherwise. And we might see the numbers, but we can't see you, and we can't see you personally to be able to welcome you. All right. So you want to play the song that
to give a little time to for people to join. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I said drop us a comment, and then we can welcome you properly. We can play the song, and then we can start the conversation. So go to StreamYard, go to present, and then share screen, YouTube. So welcome back, Sandra. Here goes. Talk to us. Tell us what you're going to tell us about the song, about the book, about you. Let's talk.
Oh, it was playing over here. Yes, thank you, Annie. Thank you for playing that song. I see Jeremy's here. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure who else is there, but welcome to send us a comment. We're happy that you're here watching. And yeah, the song Unwritten that I choose for today's topic is a serenity song. It's gentle, it's freeing, and deeply human. And it can bring calm when anxiety rises, right? When we feel like we need to have all the answers, or when we feel like our voice won't come out quite right. That is the case when we are in positions where we're being seen and we feel that anxiety of being out there in the spotlight. And there is a line in this song that says, we have been conditioned to not make mistakes, but I can't live that way, right? And I do love that line because really we are all humans. And why do we need to be conditioned to not make mistakes? We're humans and we're not perfect. So how many of us were raised to avoid getting it wrong instead of learning to speak, to try, and to grow? And this song, the reason I choose that for today is because it sets the tone for today's conversation about, let yourself be seen, show your work, speak about yourself, self-promote. And that's really what is behind today's topic about, and the title of this topic today is Speak for Yourself, Overcoming the Fear of Being Seen. And it is a special today, this topic, because it's the event today is the pre-launch conversation inspired in my book, Unmuting Myself. And because this book is really an invitation to break generational cycles of hiding and overcoming the fear of being seen and being heard. That is the topic today, Annie. What do you think about that? Then you are mute.
It's an important topic because, saying that we are conditioned to be quiet sometimes. Of course, I think in this, I don't know whether it's a generational thing or whether it's all of childhood. But as a kid, certainly, kids, to be seen and not heard. You know, that's what tends to sort of describe our existence, our way of growing up. And I said, as adults, we do learn the lesson eventually that we have to be heard, and like you say, we have to try and do, and live with it. Live with the fact that if it goes wrong, then so be it. We can always learn and always do better, right? And
right, the fear of being, wrong, while limit us to really be free and be ourselves and learn in the process.
Yes, indeed. So, Michael, I see you. Thank you for being here. Lydia, I can see you on my LinkedIn, but I can't see you on my StreamYard. That's StreamYard for you, right? I know you're here. Again, if anyone else is here, I said, do say hello. Do tell us where you're joining us from. Say something. Otherwise, we can't welcome you properly. But we have just started, so yeah, let's give ourselves time to breathe.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
No, feel free, please.
Yeah. I want to share this topic, and first I want to start by let's understand how the fear of being seen affects personal growth and relationships, because the fear of being seen is profound and yet is hidden. Is an emotional struggle that influences many aspects of our lives, and it is deep-seated apprehensions of being observed, judged, or exposed, leading to the avoidance of visibility in both personal and professional settings. For many, this fear remains dormant, buried beneath layers of insecurity and self-doubt. However, understanding this fear is essential not only for personal growth, but also for developing meaningful relationships and achieving professional success. And right now, I want to welcome everyone who is here today for this topic. For those that I'm going to introduce myself, for those that don't know me, I'm Sandra Bothe, the founder of Thriving Mindsets. I'm author of Unmuting Myself. I am a master neurolinguistic programming and practitioner of mental emotional release hypnotherapy. And today, again, today's topic is about, the title is Speak for Yourself, Overcoming the Fear of Being Seen. This topic is personal for me because writing Unmuting Myself was already vulnerable. But speaking about this book, publicly sharing my story and inviting you into it required a different kind of courage for me. I think that writing the book was probably the easiest part of the process, and now promoting the book, that is another thing, right? It's But like I said before, it's part of this project of unmuting myself. I know that at some point I needed to start talking about the book in social media, start sharing why did I write this book, what is the idea of this movement. And so that's why I say it's part of the project. And actually, like I said, it's probably the hardest part, to put yourself out there, to use my voice really to promote this work that I have done, and to do it proudly, right? That is something that I want to speak today, and I think is the perfect topic for a book titled Unmuting Myself. And why? Because I wasn't raised to speak for myself or about myself or to show my work. I was raised to adapt, to blend in, And for a long time, I thought that it was just my story. But I have come to understand that this was bigger than that. It was really a generational silence, where I used to be very quiet and afraid to speak up and to share my ideas, to share my work, to share what I wanted. But I made a promise. I will be the one that wants to break this generational silence, at least in my family, and hopefully inspire people around, around the world to do the same, to use their voice, to share their stories, because there is such a power in doing that. Um, One of the things a long time ago that really inspired me to break free and speak with vulnerability was this person that is very famous for the topic of vulnerability, right? Oh my God, her name just kind of disappeared from my head right now, but that's okay. Um, Brunette, I think Brunette is her name, and she's really famous for speaking about this topic. And she shared how hard was. She's a vulnerability or shame. It's more like shame researcher, and she shares about this a lot in Tech Talks. So many of us were taught to shrink before we ever learned to shine. We were told to stay humble, to stay silent, to stay safe. And especially as a first generation immigrants and women in professionals were raised to, in cultures of survival. We inherit silence like it was an armor. But what once protected us, no, is now holding us back. That is really the truth. The fear of being seen is inherently tied to self-doubt. When someone fears visibility, they often question their worth and abilities. And this fear can prevent them from taking risk, trying new things, and stepping outside their comfort zone. And as a result, opportunities for growth and self-discovery remain unfulfilled. And that is the really problem with, staying behind the scenes. Sometimes we need to show up our faces and show up fully for the things that we stand up, and for what we want. Sometimes this change in the world, we need to put ourselves out there and talk about those things. Annie, are you still with me? Hi, Jay.
Of course, I'm
I'm
still
making
with
a pause here.
you.
Um,
I'm still with you. I'm
and
here.
I
I
just want
say,
to make a pause here and say hello to some people. I see Jay is here.
yeah,
So happy to see you here, Jay. Thank you for the support. Also,
so,
Melissa uh,
yeah.
is here. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Welcome, Melissa. I still call you Dr. Melissa. I know you're not gonna like it, but it's fine. You are the genius, Dr. Melissa. I'm glad you're here. So in Jay's comments is interesting. I was in the media industry, and while I was on TV, I felt unseen. I say, I'm sure
Wow.
we can all wonder how can that be, but of course, you can be. I think it's part of this thing where even though we are succeeding, we can tell ourselves that we're not. We can still doubt ourselves. And again, maybe it's a throwback to imposter syndrome, where even though everything tells us, you know, you are being seen, you are being heard, you are impacting people, but we still think, oh no, little old me, I should just keep quiet, and I don't deserve to be seen. I'm not sure. That saying where, well, I don't know where you know that saying. I guess as someone who is not indigenous, someone who's not Caucasian, someone who's not white, we have this thing about we have to work doubly hard to achieve the same level of success as everyone else. So I think that's probably part of the conversation. I will say, your point about the fact that for anyone who writes a book, your work starts now, really. And your work, people think, when I write a book, when I speak, it is, my job is done. But in reality, yeah, it's just, writing a book is probably, when we look back, it's probably the easy part. So no one knows the drama and the hard work it takes to go from writing a book to working with an editor. So working with editors, that's the work. That's when the real work starts, because most a good editor would almost make you rewrite the book, make it as good as it can be. I think with experience, we get better at conveying our message in our writing. But it does take getting used to, and it does take real work. But from here on in, marketing your book, getting your book in more people's hands is a job, and that's a job that we can't get away from. And that job for you and for most authors is for the rest of your life, really. Even if you write other books, you still have to keep marketing the book. Otherwise, it doesn't impact as many people as it could. But well, we have to embrace that journey as authors. The book launch day is a big day, because that's a day we tend to work towards, your bestseller campaign. And that is where I get kind of obsessed. I think tonight we're going to choose your categories whilst our friends are fast asleep. And let you go along to, let's say, Donna's show later on at 3 a.m. So it's at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. EST. But so we'll be working at the categories, and then we'll eventually be ready for the big day itself. Yeah. In terms of finding our voice, actually speaking up and finding ourselves, what's the process we'll go through? What's the process you've gone through, Sandra?
Yeah, well, really for me was important in this process, writing this book. It was the first thing and I really started writing before that. I always write my thoughts, but never really thought that will really lead to any project like this. I guess as I got older, and working really with coaches, and they brought back to me the benefits of writing and journaling. And I started taking that a little more serious about what I was writing, and really help you to get a lot of clarity about who you are, about things in your daily life that somehow seem overwhelming. But when you write down the things that you're going through, it's very interesting that it feels less heavy and it start feeling more clear. And it also happens that you start writing something and you're probably really frustrated with a situation, but then at the end can come clear that it wasn't all in the other person, other parts, but was more on yourself, the way that you were, the perspective that you were looking at situation from that perspective. So it even changed at the end. So it is an interesting process of writing. And I use something that helps me a lot. It's called a tool called the the Artist Way. The Artist Way is a book that teach you the process of creation, right? How to be creative in writing. And writing is something that I was told many, many times during this process, that you cannot force yourself just to write the book right now in a month or 2 months. You have to let it rest and come back to it. And then, it will start taking the form that it's supposed to take. And the message that you at the beginning thought you wanted to share is at the end happens to be different. So it's very interesting. So my process of really unmuting myself was with writing my thoughts, and then it start showing up even when I wasn't ready. And it was with you, Annie, last year in these rooms, just to show up every time. Of course, you prepared, but as much as you prepared, um, you haven't done this before, so it's not going to be perfect. And do not expect to be perfect, right? Do not expect that. Do your best and be happy that you did your best and that you learn whatever you learned that day, and do it again. Uh, we froze sometimes when we say, "Oh my God, that was horrible. I don't do that again." But that is the wrong approach, because whatever you learn there, do it again and do it better. And I think that's what I've been learning doing this in LinkedIn. I wasn't never a person of being in this camera and sharing my ideas. But that was part of the process, doing it. And then when I start doing that, those little steps, and before even that, I have shared in many rooms here, but before even doing that, what I started doing was joining the LinkedIn events when they were no video, but they were just audio, and raising your hand and add something to the conversation. Really listen what the people is talking about, and if something speaks to you, that is a great opportunity to use your voice, right? To start exercising that and to start feeling more comfortable. It feels, to be honest, when I did that at the beginning, and then somebody saw me and I say, "Oh, Sandra, raise your hand. Come, welcome to the room and tell us what you want to share." And it is, for me, many people don't struggle with that, and good for them, but many others do, right? So for those that do, for those, this is why I wrote this book. For those that struggle using their voice, feeling small, that's the people I want them to read the book and see what they can learn and how they can get inspired. But that was the process, and after that, when I start showing up in these rooms and writing the book, now this is another level to that process, where I start sharing early. The next level is to speak about why, share with people, because to be honest, writing the book is not easy, but it's easier, because it's just yourself quiet alone in your in your house, in whatever space is sacred for you to write. You enjoy that process. I did. You just having your tea, your coffee, and your music, and just very relaxed, or maybe in a trip. One of the places where I really enjoyed writing was in airplanes. I don't know why, but it really gave me the best writing that I done. Even for a future book, I already wrote a lot, in a trip to California. So that was, for me, very enjoyable and the easiest part of this process of unmuting myself. And now this is a different level. Now it's talking about in public, right? No more in my room writing the stories that I now have to share, and people are going to know them, to read about, things that are really a story that I went through as a child, growing up, as a teenager. So now it's time to, answer the questions. that the people may have and share more in person, in front of people. That is another level for me. And taking to another higher level is to go on a stage and really start advocating for the things that I believe in, right? That is part of all this project of immuning myself. Because if someone like me that never was able to do this can do it, I ensure you that anyone can do this, because there is no other way to grow and to have opportunities. And I kind of get like this, but it's the truth. I give you this because I got a little emotional right now. I give you the microphone
you know,
back.
it's true. It's a journey, right? And I guess when we think about the journey, it can look daunting. It can look like there's a lot ahead of us. Sometimes we have to wonder, are we ready? Are we prepared? And it does demand coming out of our shell, our comfort zone. Because it feels like at each stage we have to be louder. Be even more, which requires us to be even more brave, especially if we really are, if we're tied by that fear and that's we really have no voice. As Jay says, it was a mindset, and it definitely it's to do with imposter syndrome, where we feel like we are in the wrong place, and they will discover who our weaknesses and who we really are. So if we keep quiet and hide quietly, maybe they won't discover who we are, but that fear is always there, and that's our reality in life. So, and then the fact that you write so many things in planes, that tells me that what I call a globetrotter, Sandra. You're a globetrotter. You are successful even before you think you are. Now you're traveling on planes around from A to B, right? That makes you successful.
Not really. I mean, if I were, I'll say it. I don't have problem right now. That was the old version of me having problem with saying, yeah, I am. But to be honest, this traveling is really investing in myself. It's really going in places and meeting people and learning the things that I want to learn to be where I want to be. It's part of a dream that I only now have the opportunity to chase, never before. And I really realized that it probably I was like Jake said, it requires a mindset. It requires to be completely aligned with what you want and forget about the fear. Just start doing it whether you are ready or not, because the truth is you're never gonna be ready. Nobody is going to be ready for the first time that you want to do something. And the reason I've been traveling is to get all these trainings that I found that are perfect for me for what I wanted to do. So, and I'm lucky that I have the opportunity to do it right now in this moment of my life. So that's what I make the decisions that I needed to make, because I believe that unmuting myself is a project that I want to make it bigger, because in the immigrant community, I think that is needed that people become speakers, really face the fear of speaking and advocate for themselves. And we struggle with that. So that's the reason I've been really putting a lot of time, efforts, and in what I'm doing right now.
Superb. No, so well done, you. Let's welcome Lisa the Genius. Apparently, I can call her Lisa the Genius, not Dr. Lisa, but we're glad you're here, Lisa. I'm in a post genius for sure. Thank you for joining us, April. So April was
Yeah.
almost beside herself when she missed our last show last week. So April, I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, April.
We'll see you, Jay. Jay number 2. Thank you for being here. So Jay says, for myself, I'm never afraid to speak because it allows me to provide inputs to conversations and connect with community. Yeah,
That is great.
good on you. Good on you, Jay. I think I think Jay made a reference earlier, to something about being different, and I think when you are different in some way to, I guess, the society or the community that you move to, especially as a professional immigrant, that difference can. No, but it's all in our head, Jay. That's the point, right?
It is.
I'm not jealous. I say well done, you. But for many people, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It takes work, right?
It is, yeah. For many people, is I said it before. For those that really speaking up comes easier, that's great. But there is a lot of people that struggle with sharing their true selves to be, and it's not only speaking; it's to be yourself, right? Not to be afraid to be yourself, and connect, because we can speak, many people can do, but are you connecting, right? Are being you coming across as yourself, or how are you speaking? Because it's not just speaking, but it's also connecting with people. So I am going to, if I can any continue with second part of what I prepared. You are mute.
I've muted myself. Of course, now please. April says one step at a time, and thank you, April. I'm excited to be part of Sandra's journey. But let me tell you, April,
You really will.
and my joy is suspended, literally suspended. Almost it's like I hold my breath until Thursday when until I see the first #1 bestseller for Sandra on Thursday. I'm in a state of it's not turmoil, it's anticipation, and literally I do sort of I have to live it, and I think it's probably part of the conversation, Sandra, where it's not just speaking up. I think it's feeling like yourself, right? It's feeling comfortable. It's feeling like you belong. It's feeling like this is me. This is my rightful place. And say until I see the results, I'm always in that place. Friday morning I'll be happy, and I assure you I'll be back to my normal self until my next book launch, and that's just how I live. More for me, I hear you say, but that's me, right? Sandra, please take the mic.
And before I start with this part of the topic, I wanted to just thinking a lot about what Jay said, that he was always able to speak. But this topic today is on also being able to talk about yourself, to be seen, right? To be there showing your work. Many people struggle with that. They can be in front of people and sharing a project and talking, but when it comes to showing themselves, they shrink, that they don't want the spotlight on owning what they work for, taking the credit, and really being seen. Many people feel uncomfortable with doing that. And with that, I'm going to transition to why it's hard to be seen. Many of us didn't grow up learning to use our voice freely. We learned to how to survive, um, and survival for our families often looks like silence because we were taught to stay humble, don't make waves. If you are good, people will notice it. Don't talk too much about yourself. Don't self-promote because being humble is more beautiful. That is the message that at least in my culture I hear growing up. And even now that we know that, that habit of shrinking doesn't disappear just because our lives change. And like I said before, that is why self-promotion can feel very uncomfortable for some people. And it's not like it's not self-promotion is not about ego. It's about visibility, which in professional life is very important. So now let's see why hiding looks like today. Hiding doesn't always mean silence. Sometimes it looks like over preparing, but under sharing. Sometimes I myself have that experience that where I will prepare a lot, but then not everything was shared in the moment that I could have shared that. So over preparing, but under sharing is one of the ways that we hide. Um, Another way is editing ourselves to be acceptable. So in this part is really always showing yourself there, but performing to look good, to be accepted. But it's not your authentic self. It's the things that we do that know that it will be seen good and be acceptable to other people. So in that sense, we are hiding the authentic self. And speaking in ways that feel perfect, again, but no authentic. Apologizing before we speak. When we want to share something, we think twice, how is this going to land? And so we start with an apology at the beginning before we share what we really feel or think about something. Apologizing before we speak. Avoiding credit or downplaying your wins. When we receive a compliment, oh, great, let's say great book. Oh, I have a lot of help. I mean, I have like 6 editors helping me, right? If I don't have them, then this book wouldn't be possible today. That is downplaying, because the truth is you have a story, you have an idea, and people help you to shape it because they have knowledge and you are starting as a first-time writer. But why to downplay that? You did have part on the success of having your book out there. Is your book. If you don't have that, starting it, nobody was going to help you shape it. You have to start it. So you have to take the credit for that. Just say thank you. It's what always the advice I receive, because I always been that way when I downplay a lot. But just remind yourself, when somebody gives you the compliment for or giving you the credit for something, say thank you and don't say more. It's hard at the beginning, but if you remind yourself, you can do it until you just do it very spontaneously. And we don't do these things that I said before because we are weak. We do it because we learn that being seen had a cost, right? But now that old cost is creating a new cost. And the new cause of no being seen, it's our voice. Is a high cost because with our voice, we shape the future not only for us, but for future generations. In my case, as an immigrant, I am shaping the future for my son, right? And for the generations that come. And for many people that is going to be transformed or, inspired for my message. So we're shaping the future for new generations when we use our voice. Another cost that we're paying when we don't, when we hide and we are not seen, it's our potential, right? Our potential is there, but if we don't like and we don't embrace being seen, then the cost is to achieve success because people don't know you. So you have to start talking about yourself in a comfortable way. And another part of the cost that we pay of not being seen is our joy, because we just don't show up in places where things could change our lives. Um, Networking events for people for entrepreneurs, right? That we're here in LinkedIn. If you don't show up in the events that can help you, nobody really knows what you do. So that is the cause of not being seen and hiding from being seen. And how fear of being seen limits personal achievements, avoiding opportunities for growth and success. The truth is, when we don't speak for ourselves, we leave our stories in someone else's hands. Or worse, no one else will tell it at all, right? Like here in LinkedIn, when we connect with people and we let them know who we are, they can amplify that message. Like many people have done here in LinkedIn with me, with Annie, right? He's being seen in these audio rooms a lot. He got a nickname, the Godfather, and everybody speaks, about your rooms and what you do. So everybody's telling the story. Staying small doesn't keep us safe anymore. It keeps us invisible. And the impact that we were meant to have will never fully land. The fear of being seen leads to self-imposed limitations by avoiding opportunities where visibility is required. Individuals prevent themselves from accessing new experiences and achievements that could promote growth. And the danger of playing small in life is living in the shadow of fear of being seen and playing small, avoiding risk, avoiding challenges and opportunities that could lead to greater success and fulfillment. Playing small is an act of self-preservation, but ultimately, it limits our potential. Because there is another reason why we do it, of not being seen, is to avoid, fear of failure is a roadblock to progress. We don't want to be seen because there is more potential that, we are going to be judged if we fail in whatever we're doing. And that is what I think is very limiting when we let judgment of self-judgment or judgments from other people really stop us to grow. Because the truth is anyone can fail. So we're not different. They're not different. Anybody can fail. So why are we afraid that the other people see us failing? It's just a change in perspective. When we see failure as something not such a negative thing, but the opposite. Failing means that you're trying something, that you're learning, and that you are growing. But most people is really panic of thinking that other people see you failing. Let's say failing with a book, right? Failing with a speech. It can happen, but what are you gonna focus on? The experience, the being able to do such a thing is bigger than the failure. So the fear of failure is intrinsically linked to the fear of being seen. Many individuals avoid taking risks due to the fear of that any visible attempt to will lead to failure and, like I said, public judgment. And this fear of failure keeps us stuck in a cycle of inaction. So I'm going to stop there to see if there is anyone who wants to add something to the conversation. And any, back to you.
I say this fear of failure. It is like it's a strange thing. I don't know where we took it upon ourselves that if something goes wrong, then that's failure. I think it's almost misconstruing, misunderstanding what failure is. I think failure is essentially when you give up, when you stop, right? When until then, you still have a chance to learn and to do better, and to achieve what you want to achieve. I think we're much too harsh on ourselves. As you're talking, I'm thinking, look, a few years ago, I'm saying, literally, what, 4 years ago? The events have been going for the last 3.5 years. So before that, I didn't speak in public. And was it a fear? I'm sure it was. It was a fear of what if it goes wrong. And I was probably as afraid of just the small things. I said, speaking was, I guess I didn't even let my mind go that far. That's why I didn't speak, right? I wouldn't go on stage anywhere to speak, in a public meeting. So in networking, yes, eventually I found the courage. But I was always wary of what if I trip over? What if I fall over on my way to the stage? What if I fall over on stage? So I think, we give ourselves these huge mountains and the what ifs, the many things that can go wrong. And that just holds us back. It holds us back more than we think about, more than we consider. But we must learn to move beyond those constraints that we put on ourselves, because it is all inside us. Sadly, it's not true that they will understand what we're saying, whoever they are, the audience, everyone else, our colleagues, and our managers. This is not. Sometimes it can be people's perceptions and reactions, but I think more often than not, it is within us. We control this narrative from beginning to end, really, and it's all in our heads. Because each time we do actually take a step forward beyond our fears, people receive our input positively. We just need to find a way to keep showing up and keep doing what we have to do. In the description, we talked about this, our fear of almost promoting ourselves, singing our praises, acknowledging almost the success we've achieved and the impacts that we have, as if being heard, being visible, as you mentioned earlier, is some sort of crime. I think the reality is that the world wants us to succeed. The world wants us to be heard. The world wants to hear our thoughts and our views. And then we'll find a reason, we'll find little reasons to stay hidden, to stay small. We need to find the courage and build that courage in the next generation, in our kids, to feel that they belong from the beginning, and to realize that the world does want to hear them. The world does want to hear what we think, and so sometimes that is looking beyond the ordinary experiences of people. Of course, I know this room is about the corporate, professional, and entrepreneur immigrants. I'm saying, there's a uniqueness to each person and their background, their experiences, where we've come from, basically. I think we need to embrace that uniqueness and share it with the world, because that I think that gives us a unique perspective. I say all that because as someone who grew up in Nigeria, I know I've got some strange ideas maybe about how the world really works. But that strange ideas is a blend of me being British and me understanding Nigerian culture. I must bring that mix to everything I do, rather than trying to keep the Nigerian side. Let me try and bury that for a bit. I best not let them know. Yeah, that's just a crazy way of thinking, right? We need to embrace who we are as a whole. And say our past, our differences, our uniqueness, because that is our special gift. That is what gives us, the insights that we have. So we need to learn to just to be ourselves. That's why, again, the question for you is: do you feel in a good place now, Sandra? Now you've written the book. Do you feel you've overcome all these issues, or is this still a process?
To be honest, there is always this thing. What I have come to understand, and that I think is very powerful, is that no matter how many times you do it, fear always gonna be there. The few seconds of whatever engagement, presentation you have. But now you know that. So you just have to go through it every time. You prepare, and it's gonna, be there. But there are things that you learn to manage that, so that it's not going to, be on the way of you growing and, achieving success and the things that you want to do. So that was a big realization for me, this fear. I mean, and even more, furthermore from the fear is that when you embrace it, every time you fear of something, not only because of the stage or being here in LinkedIn in front of people, or saying the wrong thing, or pronouncing some word incorrectly and being embarrassed, all of that, you just have to go with it. It's not the end of the world, and you're going to learn and you practice more. But it's going to happen every time. The fear is going to be there, but you manage differently, because it's stopping you anymore. I think that more than overcoming the fear, which of fear is going to show up every time, is overcoming this thing about being judged. Because when you know that, you want to grow and you want to achieve big things, that judgment shouldn't stop you anymore. And I think that is bigger than anything else. Just self-acceptance, that you are where you are right now, and that you're growing, and keep going, because the beauty of that is that the right people will support you, and that's gonna be, that's gonna help you. But if you don't keep going, so who's going to support you? You need to keep going. So yeah, to answer your question, sorry, it's just, show up every time,
Yeah.
because it's always a learning curve. You're always learning.
Yeah, no, it's true. Jeremy, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so we do see you, my friend. How you doing?
Pretty good. I got out because there was like three different things going on. Forgive me. I don't know why, but I'm glad I understand you. I'm glad I understand you. Thank you. This is a beautiful discussion, but I keep hearing what was going on after it's done in my ear right now.
Um, uh,
Don't worry
have
about
you,
it. I
uh,
I I I can manage multiple things in my head at once. I'm good.
okay, have you got another tab open? Another like a LinkedIn event tab?
Maybe,
I
yeah, it happens to me
I
a lot
would.
too. When
It's
Andy was playing the song earlier and he stopped it, the song was still playing. So I thought you were still playing it. And I keep, wow, it's
I
me.
have magic powers.
I'm just gonna have to let what was played before just keep playing. I looked for links open, so I don't know. So forgive me.
As long as you can cope, as long as you can cope, normally the echo comes from someone's then the LinkedIn event page and a StreamYard being open. That tends to be what makes it the echo. Anyway, now talk to us about our topic, Jeremy.
Oh man. I'm in hiding because I'm afraid of success. I'm I, I said I'm a turtle for a reason. I'm really the hare, but I prefer to be the turtle because I don't want to miss anything because I missed out on a lot of things in life. And so as I'm trying to move forward with my business, fighting all the fears of being accepted for who I am today and not the things I was yesterday. And so as I have listened to you guys, I'm encouraged to personally grow beyond my own fears, beyond just telling people, showing up, helping them like I do in ways that I don't tell them because I just love to help. And anything I can do to help other people, help me, help them, either way, it doesn't matter. And so I didn't want people to misinterpret what I came here for. I came here to love and be loved on. I came here not with everything figured out, and I came here to build as I go.
Mm,
Um, and hearing everybody's different forms of encouragement on different levels of business and from different arenas, whether they're a coach, whether they're an author of a book, or getting people authored, or sorry, get them to become authors of their own books, which is amazing. I want to become an author myself. It's really hard to write a story that I'm still fighting through. And so
mm,
the only thing I can do is forgive, stand my ground, fight for the people whose voices never get heard because of reasons like me and reasons we keep repeating the same mistakes in history, and it's upsetting. It's upsetting. I want better for America. I want better for the globe. I want better for all of us, not just for me. And so coming here without a voice, finding my own voice, and to share that with others to help them grow beyond their fears is important. And you guys have all taught me that. I can't thank everybody enough. I try my best in my own little way, but I most look forward to continuing to learn with the people that I'm already connected with. I don't get one-on-ones. I want one-on-ones. I want things like this. I can do this on my own, but I didn't come in here to do it alone. I came
mm,
here to be last place, knowing I was first, but not with the first place ego, but with my heart showing. Even
mm,
if I had to sacrifice some truths about me just to open up the audience around the globe into a place of healing, not of a place of shame, because shame is the reason why people are unable to grow beyond their own belief, because people keep instilling beliefs in them whether they want them or not, without a choice. Like, I don't watch the news, I don't watch TV. This is what I do. I enjoy nature, I enjoy the shows, I enjoy the people who are genuine, and I am looking forward to growing beyond my own shadow of my past. But those things built me into the person I am today. So you can't really appreciate my future if you don't know my past. Because the battles that I don't share on here, I fight them daily. And every day I strive to encourage people because that's what I want. But I don't need to be encouraged to be encouraging. I'm encouraging because I love me enough to love you back, even if you're not loving me. And so coming on here is like a dream come true. Maybe not so much for those who don't really understand the power that this platform holds. But I
Mm.
seen it the very first day that I showed up. I seen what we're all doing right now. And I got stopped by a force I'm not able to say other than what I've posted. I'm not looking to don't come in. I'm looking forward to not openly or publicly destroy anyone for their actions. What I'm here to do is to teach people a better way. And so I thought that if I came here, I could help the people that were struggling just like me, maybe in their personal life, their business life, or just in life, period. I have reached people who were gone and gave them an opportunity to reach for them in a way that nobody was able to reach me. And from that experience, I've learned to be able to not only reach myself when no one else could, but my unshakable faith and the things that I share. It may not be everybody's truth, but it's my truth. And I've held back all my life, you guys. I've held back for reasons of judgment, peer pressure, being looked down on. But if there's anything I can say about me, I'm 100% genuine with myself, like I am with everyone on the platform. But I have been used, I have been abused without justice. And still, I choose love, I choose peace, I choose forgiveness, but I choose not to give up for all the people who had to give up because nobody cared to hear their voices. So, thank you very much for your show. And I also don't want to just say thank you, but I want to thank all the people out there who do this every single day and share that love with the people who may not be able to feel it.
Mhm.
So that's it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Jeremy. I really appreciate this profound message that you share with us. And I feel the same. I can resonate with many of the things that you shared. And I don't watch news either. Really, I remember this message from Dr. Matt James that I got my learnings from him. And he said, what happens when we watch the news and everybody's doing the same and everybody start getting worried about the world going the way it is going? All this energy at the same time is focused in the same way, and it's not good. you know Too many people worry about the thing that is happening. Then is this energy? It's about energy, really. The word, I believe a lot in energy. But anyway, I don't really, I don't watch a lot of news, but I let my husband keep me a little bit informed of what's going on, but I myself don't watch them directly. And uh, and I think that what you share is really beautiful. You know, even when things happen in this platform, I heard, I heard some stories too, but don't lose that faith. And things can happen to someone, but don't lose the faith that many people is doing good here in LinkedIn. And I really, when I start this journey, I was working in corporate America, but I feel the call to really do something more than what I was doing. um, and there is people that need help, and I hope that my story inspire them to move from that place, the same place that you said that you have been, where you feel looking down at you and things like that. I have to overcome all of that to be able to be here sharing. And when you're ready, you will be able to share your story, or maybe you won't need to share it to process it. I needed to share that. And going back to the question that Annie asked at the beginning, part of the process of really self-acceptance is being able to share my story and feel okay about that. Don't feel shame of not being able to use my voice for the majority of my life. There is no shame on that. There is only learnings, and that's what I'm here showing people how I came to overcome that. And really, it's nobody's fault, right? It's how we sometimes program our minds from the experience that we have in childhood, the way that we grow up, the culture in which we grow up. All of these things really make our programming. But it is a program and it can be rewrite. So we can change that. No matter how deep this programming is, we can change that. So and that's how I hope people know that change can happen, and we can, we just need to want to change things for us to have a joy and a better life and more hope. So I'm very thankful too for this platform, because is what helped me to be able to start using my voice and really become more authentic. I didn't have, I struggled being, connecting really, because one of the things that I overcame was this thick wall that I have built around me for protection, where, is this wall that I talk in my book, very thick, where nothing will hurt me, because I learned through my life, through my childhood, to survive discrimination, where there is not only discrimination, the one that we know here in the US. No, it's discrimination of a social class, right? Of your upbringing, of being different from everybody else, of struggling with learning, all of that stuff. So I built this thick wall that nobody could really get through, and it really took years to be able to break that wall. But finally, it's down, and I'm able to show myself as I am and really share with the world that story, because I know that I'm not the only one that has built a world around them for self-protection, and which really limit people to connect with others, in my experience. So thank you, Jeremy, again for sharing with us. And Annie, back to you.
Was there more you want to say, Jeremy, or can we go to America? I love that picture, America.
Can I just say thank you?
Yeah, of course,
All right. I can't thank everybody, and I don't want to use your guys' show for that. This is great as it is. I just wanted to say thank you for having it, and I couldn't do anything other than try to share it, but for whatever reason will let me. But that's all right. This is how I do my best, and I'm very grateful. I look forward to growing beyond people's doubts. So that's it. You can go to America. Thank you.
You're doing that, my friend. You definitely know you show up, and I say I love the fact that you're speaking a game. I think you found your voice in audio rooms, Jeremy. I remember that clearly. But I say recently, I'm seeing you speaking up in these lives as well. And I think there is a thing about being seen. I think audio was really good to help us overcome the fear of being heard. But we could do that behind that wall that you talk about, Sandra. That will build that wall of security, which yes, it frees us a bit, but I think that defense, that wall of defense, can end up being like our prison. It really can, which
Yeah,
holds, which stops
true.
us seeing and taking opportunities. I think that you said that earlier, right? And that's Dr. Melissa Houston says, you must want it first, and you really must. We must want to break free of those chains, that, and have our voice and our freedom. It all counts. If we don't want it, I don't think anything changes. So we must truly want it, and because there is going to be emotions, there is going to be extraordinary effort, and maybe the greatest battle in this conversation on this journey is often with me, myself, and I. The three of us have we have a war. I'm saying I want to do it, and it was worse. Myself is saying, are you sure you can't do this? And they say, my other self is saying, you don't want to do this. Do you really? I think we have to overcome that. Do I really want it? And it's only when we truly want it that we're willing to face even the first step. It does leave us vulnerable. So I don't know whether America is still there or whether he's stepped away for a second. You're there, my friend. Please speak, talk to us. What's your take on our topic, my friend?
Speaking for yourself is probably one of the hardest things. When it comes to helping others manifest their ideas, we have no problem following their guidance, their instruction, their mentorship. But we build walls around our own narratives for multitude of reasons. And I've grown tired of building those walls. And it takes life lessons, to realize that while you're helping others manifest their journeys, how dispensable you become in those environments. So I've kind of taken back my journey, taking control of being seen, heard, and remembered. And now my purpose is not only to be selfish, but to be selfless and help others understand the value in being able to manifest their own narrative, no matter how small, no matter how big. That there's support here. This platform has really taught me how philanthropic the community is in wanting to give back and help. And it's not always monetization. There are some people with good hearts, good purpose, who want to help. And it's something took me a while to learn and understand, but I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, that's true. And thank you for really supporting that message. I mean, I really come to realize that about the wall, and thank you for really sharing that. You agree with that. I feel like many people do that self-protection, right? It is sad, really, that we think that we need to do that, because vulnerability is, believe it or not, is powerful. when we let people see us as humans, it's powerful how that bring connection, because we are all humans and we experience the same things. It doesn't matter who has more money or power than other people. We are all humans and we experience the same things of shame, of doubt, all these human experiences that we have. So thank you so much for you guys sharing here in the room. Anything to add?
There's always things to add. Have you gone through your points for today?
I wanted to share a little bit about overcoming the fear of being seen. There is the importance of self-reflection. Overcoming fear of being seen begins with self-reflection, understanding that the root cause of this fear is the first step to addressing it. By examining past experiences, fears, and emotions, individuals can begin to untangle the threads of, that contribute to that fear, and facing the fear through gradual exposure, like I was sharing before. Just little steps is an effective strategy for managing that fear of being seen. Taking small, manageable steps towards visibility, whether it is speaking in small groups, in LinkedIn, like I shared before, raising your hand. You don't even need to open your camera when you're not ready. Many people do that. Share your ideas, your thoughts, your experiences. I encourage people to use this platform as a strategy to help you overcome this fear of using your voice, of speaking about something that you think. You don't need to put your camera until you're ready. But I encourage you, with time, start increasing and do open your camera, and then you'll see how far you can come with these little steps. It's amazing. It's how I did it. Practicing, like we said before, another way is practicing to overcome the fear of being seen, is practicing vulnerability and self-acceptance. Vulnerability is the key of overcoming fear of being seen. Like I said before, when individuals embrace their imperfections and allow themselves to be vulnerable, they release the power of that fear, the fear that holds them back. Self-acceptance fosters a sense of security and make it easier to step into the light. Another thing, it could be also look for help. There is cognitive behavioral therapy that can help you with that when you struggle with the fear of being seen. And this therapy really helps people, individuals, to challenge negative thought patterns that they have, to replace them with healthier beliefs, and gradually expose themselves to the fears that are controlling them. So another practice, Annie, that I had in my process was the power of mindfulness and meditation. That many people know of these practices. They are really powerful. Don't need to do it long time. Just start, with a small frames of time, 5 minutes. Don't get frustrated if you can, if you cannot quiet your mind. Because one interesting thing that I learned about meditation is that you can start with 5 minutes, and during those 5 minutes, every time that you catch yourself thinking in something, it's helping you. Every time that you do that, is helping you to achieve the state of meditating, right? Because you catch yourself and you're gonna do it over and over. and it gets better. So don't get frustrated. Start with 5 minutes, and you will catch yourself many times during those 5 minutes thinking about something, but that is good. That is building this skill of really quiet your mind. Every time you catch yourself thinking, is building the skill to quiet your mind. Because when you remember, oh, I'm thinking of something, oh my God. So you go back. You can do it many times, and when you keep doing it for a week, for a month, you're gonna the periods of time where your mind is quiet for longer time, they increase. So you just have to stay on it. Do it every day, 5 minutes. If you want, if you feel comfortable, increase, and really catch your mind thinking on something, and that's helping you to build those longer times where your mind is quiet. Because that's really the goal in meditation, to have your mind to be quiet. And it's amazing when you get to do that, you'll enjoy it. I became kind of addict to that. It feels great. Working with a coach or counselor is also helpful. It provides invaluable support in navigating the fear of being seen. And, trained professionals can offer insights, coping strategies, and accountability to help individuals to confront their fears and build more authentic, visible life. Building confidence and self-esteem with positive affirmations, it has an impact. Positive affirmations are powerful tool to build confidence. Just repeating these affirmations reinforce, your worth and capabilities. Individuals can shift their mindset and overcome their negative self-talk that fuels the fear of being seen. Another is strengthening personal boundaries, right? Establishing healthy personal boundaries is crucial for overcoming the fear of being seen. By protecting one's emotional and psychological space, individuals can embrace visibility, without the overwhelming fear of being taken advantage of for the exposure. Acknowledging your accomplishment, and we talked about that before. When you are recognized for something, don't downplay it. Just say thank you. Take the time to acknowledge and celebrate personal accomplishments in important steps towards overcoming fear and being seen. One example is when I started this room with Annie last year, I was at the same time doing this program, The Artist Way, which is a program of 12 weeks to help you with your creativity and in writing. But it does have one of the steps was to celebrate every week whatever you did great. And I remember when I had this room with Annie, I will go and celebrate every time I got this room done. I never shared, but I had to go and celebrate by myself. So I used to go close to the house. There's a place, and I'll drink something on my own and think about how they go. So do things like that. It gives you, that sense of, happiness and accomplishment, and recognize the work that you have done. Because if we don't do that, what we do is the opposite. We finish an event, and I speak for myself, and we start, instead of celebrating, we start thinking about the things that didn't go the way that we wanted, how wasn't as perfect as we envisioned. So celebrate whatever you did. Please celebrate that. So these are some of the steps, and that I wanted to share. Any, do you have anything to add, or anybody else? I
Yeah,
get back.
and that's, I'm going to come to Margaret. You know, someone who's definitely found a voice, you know, over time as well. Now, Cyrus, I see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. Linda, I see you as well. All the way in Canada. Glad you're here. Yeah, Cyrus, you keep doing the moderating, my friend. You know, I appreciate you. You know, there's many things. I think the mindfulness part of, you know, your tips, Sandra. I think that's really helpful. You know, I find that I still find that helpful. So I think starting, you know, it's easy for us to, you know, we can think. I think Stanley Green says we think 60,000 thoughts a day. You know, the weirdism is that most of those thoughts are almost the same cycle of negativity. You know, so we just keep thinking negative, and we have the same thoughts over and over and over. You know, so I think meditating and just finding that peace, even if you just you know, for a few minutes, that you're doing your mindfulness practice. You know, so I think it really counts. I think also like the affirmations, you know, it feels very weird. It feels strange at the beginning, very strange. You know, you because you're talking to yourself. You know, and you know, I remember, you know, looking in the mirror and saying, "Annie, you know, you're great." I was like, you know, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, "Am I sure? Am I sure?" But you know, with time, I think, and with self belief, and I think, no, so I think maybe the third thing I would add is loving yourself, really. You know, actually accepting yourself for who you are and believing that you are enough. You know, you are good enough. You know, you deserve to be where you are. There's a reason why you're where you are, and that reason is normally all the work you've done. You know, so I think, just taking the first steps to change how you think of ourselves, that goes a long way, and then the evidence will match and will confirm even more if you give it time. Look, I'll stop talking, and the last thing I want to say is simply that we fall off the horse at times. You know, we do fall off the horse. Now there'll be a day when you don't do your mindfulness practice, and when you get up. You know, I think I've learned to just get back on the horse the next day. You know, if I don't do it when I should, and I'll do it later in the day, and then, or you know, I just go back to my routine tomorrow. You know, so we're very good at beating ourselves up. Oh, I didn't. Oh no, I failed. You know, we must stop using such words to ourselves. Now, we won't tell a friend who's missed a day of meditation, that's no, oh, you failed. You might as well stop, give it up, and throw it out the window, right? We just say, right, tomorrow, go again. Right? Restart again and go again. Let me welcome Philip. I say, Philip, glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Florida.
Nice.
I always think the US, you know, it has glorious places, but you know, it's a place, right? People live there. You know, thank you so much. So Miss Margaret, Superwoman, one of my amazing co-authors on that book you see behind me, Lessons Learned from COVID. I'm glad you're here. How are you doing, Margaret?
I'm blessed. I can't complain. Thank you so much, any superstar. And thank you, beautiful Sandra. Thank you for having me, and my brother Jeremy, and everyone listening. You know, I just got out of an appointment. I'm blessed to be here because I just got out of an appointment with my daughter, but with the school and the PTO, where I'm headed that way in about 15 minutes to go serve there too. But I came in at the perfect time, right? It's always in the perfect timing for everything. And Sandra, you were talking about meditation. So yesterday in my event, I touched a little bit on this, and I was talking about mind wandering. So what happens with us is that our mind wanders about almost 50% of the time. And so
True.
what that means, yeah, and so what that means is that we're always thinking of either the past or the future. It could be anywhere, like we're thinking about making dinner, we're thinking about how what our money's going to do next year, the revenue, everything, right? About a business, are we going to start a business? Or you're thinking about your past, your childhood trauma, you're thinking about who hurt you, you're thinking about, maybe even good times like when you first met your love and on all of these things, right? So the present moment, the here and now, we're not really in there. So meditation, and I'm pretty sure Sandra already covered this, but meditation actually helps stop that wandering, to pause it.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of definitions for meditation, right? But it's a practice of turning your attention away from distracting thoughts toward a single part of reference. So, and I know you mentioned already the breath work, bodily sensations, compassion, specific thought. So you're basically you're trying to stop your mind from wandering, um, and to think of one thing, and like to do it intentionally, thinking of the present moment. And it's powerful, like like Sandra says, it really is powerful. So there's a lot of there's studies. In 2011, Brewer did this study, right, on meditating exchange the normal default pattern, because we have a default network pattern in our brains that fire, right? In other words, you stop mind wandering if you're good at meditating. Now, meditating, they did a study on love, and because there's three kinds that they did the study on: love and kindness meditation, concentration on breath, and then they did choiceless awareness. So, all of these things they kept track and noticed the sensations around, trying to focus on external environments, right, and how it affects us. But this is the cool thing about our brains, is that this is how powerful, and Sandra probably already knows this, how powerful meditation is. So when in this study, when they studied during the meditation and after, they even did like a pre and a post um, testing. After and they did it where they did brain scans, they put you in the scanner and they tested your
Mhm.
brain. Well, what happened was is that they were actually able to see on their on the regions of the brain how it was stimulated, and the gray matter of our brain actually started gaining muscle.
Mm.
So even after you're done meditating, because like Sandra, you're addicted to it, so you practice it a lot, right?
Yeah.
So now the good thing is that your brain is still functioning that way, where you're living in the present even when you're not meditating. So
True.
that is the powerful thing about meditation, right? So you can change your default pattern. Now, the reason that people want to stop mind wandering is because this builds happiness. The
Yeah.
reason we're not happy is because we live in the past, or we're consistently thinking of changing the future. So instead of trying to do that, we're actually living in the present, in the here and the now, which is very powerful. And so then you'll start doing really good things, and start thinking really good thoughts. And then you start, with those around you, being even 10 times better, and for yourself. So I just wanted to thank you. I just wanted to share that tidbit because I've been studying a lot too. And I was
Wonderful.
blessed to have the event yesterday and speak on it. But thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No, that's a wonderful share. Meditation, people that don't realize, because they say it's hard to do, but people don't realize how powerful it's just to sit there and be able, it's just doesn't even require more than sitting there and quiet your mind. And like I said before, it takes practice,
Hmm.
um, consistency, and I'm getting a call here, but I need to. Sorry. Um, WhatsApp, I
That's
have in the
okay.
phone, and it's an incoming call. But people don't realize how powerful meditation is. Like Margaret shared, our mind is all the time. telling stories, telling ourselves the same stories over and over. And that's why we cannot move forward with, things in our life. When we get in that state of meditation, we interrupt that. We interrupt those stories. And the more we achieve this state of meditation, our mind, is quiet. There is even more power to that than being present. And what I experience is not only the power of being more present in your life, because when you meditate a lot, you can be more aware of your surroundings and the people
Hmm.
and connecting. And what happened when you meditate, in my own experience, is that it really sparks creativity. So
Yes.
when you get so used to meditate, the better ideas, and these many CEOs experience this when they practice mindfulness. Um, the best ideas that you have for your business, for whatever, it comes right after you finish your section of meditating, or even in
Hmm.
the section, great ideas come to you because you're not
Hmm.
thinking anything negative. You're just connecting. The higher step of meditating is when you achieve higher consciousness, that you connect with your true self, and these ideas start just flowing to you. So that is really the higher power of meditation that I have experienced, and what you really achieve when you get in that practice. More than quiet your mind and being present is really spark creativity and connect with higher self. It's just to the next level.
I
It's
love
really,
that you said that, because you're right. It does, like in the study, it proved that doing the meditation, you are more creative and you function at your job well. And students, they even they did this study on elementary kids, and after they had them meditating, they didn't meditate for a long time, but after they had them do like 15-20 minutes, it is a practice. So you have to practice, even if you do it for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and gain all of those numbers, right? But they started doing better in their math, in their academics, and in like physical health and all that, just for meditating. Isn't that awesome? I,
just
I
for
just
sitting
I
there
just
doing
like to
nothing.
laugh. Yeah.
It's
So
powerful. Thank you, Margaret.
yeah, thank you too. I gotta go to this school, but I wanted to thank you and thank
Oh,
Annie
thank
for
you for
having me up
coming.
here. And thank you, Jeremy. Take care.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do well. You always do, right? Thank you so
Thank
much for joining us and for sharing. Let's go through Michelle's comments and then I'll come back to you. Now Sandra, you are. I guess one of the things I like about you is that you are that person who does as you say. That's my way of saying you're not just talking. You have literally gone from muted, and next week you're gonna be on stage. And that's
All.
right. So so you can tell us about now that what's coming for you. For everyone who's here, please don't forget we are. My obsession right now is on Sandra's book launch on Thursday. Of course, I'm going to invite all of you. I'm sure. So do join us. So you get a chance to buy her amazing book for $1.99. It's not even
Well,
$2
thank
now.
you. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Just
Let- let's go now. I'm wondering what your response is to Michelle's comments.
let me read it because I had to
So
put
Michelle
this.
says, living in the now. That's what Margaret mentioned, and I think we all agree that living in the present tends to be a better place to be rather than makes our mind wander. And she says, "Oh, I'm there, especially when the ceiling leaks right now, and or the electric bill is due now, or my kidney support that the system says she doesn't qualify for until she turns 12." Yes, being present is powerful. It is that. But let's not pretend mindfulness cancels systemic failures. You can meditate all the way. If you don't, if you keep trying, if you keep saying I without checking the reality of we, you might just be manifesting ignorance.
Mhm.
It's an interesting thought that you share, Michelle. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's give it a try, right? Some people don't believe, but that is, everybody has a perspective. Some people can talk about their own experience and how, perspectives of how they have um, practiced something and it has worked, right? Um, just, give it a try, and it's different for everyone. Um, is what I can say. It's different for everyone. Um,
and I will say, part. I think part of the reason I do the mindfulness practice is as you're saying, Sandra, it's my belief that I think we can create the reality that we want. We can paint a picture in our heads. I know Margaret's saying, that you can look forward. And I was looking forward to a book launch, and you can say, we can control how we handle reality. So we can envision the reality we want. It doesn't mean that we ignore the reality that's issues that we have today. I think
right.
we can reframe and take a different perspective, which can result in a material change of our existence. Yes, if things may be wrong, you know, what is the solution what is the better ways that you seek? I think that's a question I tend to use mindfulness practice to create. And it's seeing my life. It's seeing what I want life to be, and then I think rather manifesting ignorance, as you said, Mark. You know, Michelle, I think we can manifest the happiness that we do want. We really can. That's my personal belief, and I think
Yeah, they say, and I don't wanna, I just want to share this. I once read this that, we create also the reality that we want. And I know there is different, things in life, struggles for people. Um, but sometimes, we can create that reality that we want. Sometimes you can try that, and the mind is powerful. And because what happens is when we focus in something and that energy goes to that, um, without doubt that we can manifest it. It cannot be doubts. It needs to be free of doubts that is going to happen for us. It's powerful. And I know it's hard to believe when when things are hard and they haven't worked for you. But I encourage people to try meditation and positive thinking. And not only, there is a misunderstanding that, yeah, positive thinking is going to get me what I need, but it's not that way. It's that the positive thinking then um, move you to some actions, right? Whether it is your perspective, your approach to things, and those little shifts can start moving change to the things that you need in your life. It's not just, okay, I'm gonna sit here and positive and have positive thinking and everything is gonna come to me. I think that's the misunderstanding. Is not like that. Is positive thinking is going to create certain actions, different approaches from yourself to things, and that is what's gonna change things for you.
I definitely agree with you on that one. It's here. I think it's giving ourselves a space to hear. Yeah, they say prayer is us talking to God, right? Meditation is God talking to us and giving us those instructions that how to change our situation, how to, what we need to do. Michelle, I see now you say Michelle said I should clarify. It was more about I statements versus you statements and being mindful of delivery. I hear you loud and clear.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Understand.
it's and especially as I know that you are doing a lot to change your situation as well, Michelle. So you know, of course, meditation may just reinforce your journey and hasten the solutions to any situation for anyone. I think for all of us, we need to take those steps forward, and it is about taking those actions that we must, that will change our situation. Doing nothing is definitely not going to change anything, and sitting there dwelling is not going to help us. So, Sandra, nearly 2 hours up, right?
I know. I was just gonna share, pause for a moment and give you three reflections that may help you think about this topic today. Think about, where did you first learn that hiding was safer than speaking? Reflect on that in your quiet moments. Reflect on what parts of yourself are you still protecting, even though that you are ready to let it to let be seen, right? And what will it look like to advocate for yourself the way that you do for others? And start think about those things and start practicing. And just to move to the book, Unmuted Myself is, like I shared before earlier in the video, it's not just a book, it's my offering to break the cycle. I wrote this book for the part of me and the part of you that thought that staying silent was safe. For anyone who has thought to dim their light to keep the peace. And it's about choosing to speak anyway, to live visible, to own your story before the world rewrites it for you. And the book is my way to say the cycle ends here. And
where is the book? Where's your proof? You have to show us. Look at
it
that.
just arrived. When I was in this event, my husband just wrote it to me.
Excellent.
Can see
Excellent.
it?
Do it right. Yeah. Perfect.
Just got it
Brilliant.
today. And just to close, if you want me to close now?
Yeah,
We are past
it's your
it,
show.
so
It's your show. To say
I just want to say thank you, Jeremy and Margaret that was here, and the other gentleman, I couldn't read the name, but thank you so much. Say it again.
America de Costa.
America. Okay, thank you so much for your share. And again, you don't need to shout, loud to be heard. You don't need to be flawless to be powerful. You don't need permission to speak. You are not here just to survive. You are here to be seen, to be heard, and to lead. So let's unmute ourselves and unmute the generations that will follow, not just, not someday, but today. And that's my message for you today. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this room. Thank you, Annie, as always, for the support with this conversation. And for anyone that was here in the comments or watching the recording or watching without commenting, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate to my YouTube friends. Anyone who's on YouTube, on my YouTube right now. Please, you know what to do. Well, I'll remind you, like, comment, and then subscribe to my channel. I always need more people. Jeremy, I'm sure you subscribed a couple of days ago, right? Please, is there anything you want to say before we go, Jeremy?
Other than it was an absolute pleasure to be here, and I wasn't trying to speak like that on your show and take time away from either one of you guys doing an amazing job as you do. But thank you. The moment
No, it's perfectly fine.
And
I feel blessed to have you on stage and
Yeah.
I
sharing.
will share. I will share when I'm able to do it. It doesn't work while I'm on for whatever reason, but that's all right.
Awesome.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much. Thank you both, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll echo Linda's comments. Congratulations, Sandra.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you
Yeah,
for
May I
coming.
say,
of course, Jeremy.
may I just say, manifestation through meditation is absolutely 100% true and factual, and I'm grateful that you guys brought this up because it is the truth. This is actually how I have rewrote my own brain, but never shared. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's still rewriting my brain. Sorry, still rewriting it. It's a
And look, like,
process.
I think
Yeah,
all of us are on a journey, right? There's I don't know anyone who can say I've got it perfect. We're all still working through the journey and the process. So just I think it takes me to Sandra's point earlier. Let's celebrate our successes. Every step we take, that's a step forward. Let's acknowledge that's now. Let's name that step and let's acknowledge our success.
yeah, I
Keep
like that.
keep a wins book, and when you think it's all gone Pete tongue. Yeah, it's the British, it's British expression, right? It's all gone wrong. Look in your wins book and you see that you have made progress. Even just thinking, looking back,
I manifest this one.
right? And then did the work. Did the work. Brenda Lee's Coach Brenda Lee's. I'm glad you're here. You might have to do team replay, right? Coach Brenda Lee's. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank
hi,
you, everyone.
Linda.
Now, please do look out for your invites to our book launch on Thursday. It is 11 a.m. EST, 4 p.m. UK time. Join us, and join us. One, you're going to get the link to buy the book, and also, of course, there's a prize draw. That the $25 prize draw for someone who buys the book and sends us a receipt on the day. So that if you buy the, only the ebook counts. So prepare to buy the ebook. If you're wondering, I haven't got Kindle. You don't need Kindle. There's Kindle on the web, so you can read Kindle books on the web. And I haven't got a Kindle. There's Kindle for your phone as well, which is free. So we can definitely read the ebook. But join us on Thursday. Buy the ebook, and then let's celebrate Sandra becoming immortal. Yeah. International best-selling author. Well, it's a title for life.
I didn't think about that way, but thank you.
I do. That's why all I think about now between now and Thursday it is going to be making you an international best-selling author. That's what we have. That's what I'm praying and hoping and begging our friends to come and support us to achieve. That's what will give me real joy, and that will almost complete my part of the cycle for your book. Like we said earlier, your marketing experience is for life thereafter, right? So
Yeah, that's true. A lot of learning. Thank you, Annie.
thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Look, do go and if you're in the comments, do connect with people and make some friends, right? Make some friends.
Yeah, connect with people. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
So bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Celebrate it with or without champagne or rum, but she's success with Global.Media.